Hey guys, looks like we're live. I think I'm live. We are live. Fortunately, haven't got my headphones yet, so I can't hear myself. So I hope you can hear me okay. I hope the sound's okay. Um, it's gonna be my first live stream on YouTube. Still figuring out like what I want to stream exactly. I've been watching hours of politics every day for years, and I'm always on the side of what do I want to listen to. Now I'm on the side of what do I want to listen to and also chat about. So earlier today, I was just scrolling through at work, and I just saw a very The Hill put together a video of Republicans saying how they feel about Trump being in the Epstein files, and then Democrats talking about how they feel about the Epstein files, and just the contrast between the two is just shocking, and it just details the division in this country that we have, that we can't agree on things, on what truth is and how to react to certain things. So this is fascinating. Let's take a look real quick.
Long time. If Donald Trump was in any of the files, the Democrats, Joe Biden, all of them would have released it a long time ago. It's a bunch of gibberish for people to think other.
If Democrats were in the list, then Donald Trump would have released it a long time ago. The reality is that a lot of the documents that the DOJ had were, for whatever reason, they weren't able to release them until like recently. So they run a court order to not be released, and that's a whole nother conversation as to how back in 2008 when Epstein originally got convicted and got released, like how like all the sweetheart deal and all that, and it was all really weird. Everything about Epstein is weird.
Otherwise, the Democrat Party hates Donald Trump with a passion. That's why they created the shutdown. If Donald Trump would say that he hated oxygen, they would stop breathing.
It really raises questions about what the relationship was between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, and what Donald Trump actually knew. Obviously, one of the emails from Jeffrey Epstein alleges that Donald Trump may have spent considerable time with one of the victims. There's another email from Jeffrey Epstein that essentially says that Trump may have known about the girls, whatever that may mean. And so what it really does is it raises questions. At this moment, Donald Trump can answer those questions by releasing all of the Epstein files. There's a subpoena out for them. The Department of Justice to do its job and release the files.
Just release
I
them,
think
dog.
that the American people deserve clarity on this issue. I think they're going to get it, right? I mean, the votes are there for the discharge petition.
Are you voting for it?
I don't think that that's we're going to find out here very, very soon.
Are you going to vote for it?
I would likely not vote for the discharge petition, but I just don't think that's the right procedural way to go about it. I also have very serious concerns. Look, we had about 12 victims of Jeffrey Epstein and that kind of cobble that exists.
Victims want to see people go to jail.
Around
they don't want to see whatever just happened.
Very clearly want all of the files to come out. The problem is there's 1,000 victims here. And there was 990 that weren't standing out there because they actually don't want these files released. Because
remember when they were saying that Epstein was the only person that, who was it, Pam Bondi was saying that Ghislaine Maxwell trafficked all these girls to Epstein. 1,000 girls? This is insane. These guys are insane.
Because this is a part of their lives that's very embarrassing to them. They don't want their dirty laundry drugged through the mud. They don't want their name drugged through the public sphere. And you've got to balance that. What do the victims want with how do we ultimately get to justice and clarity for the American people? We think that we have a proper procedure for that going through the oversight and judiciary committees right now.
I think it just makes clearer that the president absolutely knows what Jeffrey Epstein was up to. We know that he was hanging out at Jeffrey Epstein's house. We know that he was hanging out with folks who have accused Jeffrey Epstein of sexual crimes. And we know that Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell actively discussed how to manage Donald Trump. And in that very email from 2011 where they're discussing this, he even says that Donald Trump is the dog that had him barked, and he mentions the police. And so, I don't know, I find it interesting. We're in the year 2025. That's 14 years after that email was sent. And here, the President of the United States is involved in potentially the largest cover-up in American history of not only criminal sex trafficking, but also financial crimes.
Overall,
it doesn't, like, the emails don't say Donald Trump is diddling little kids. But why is it that everything with Epstein, like, the name Donald Trump always comes up? Like, it always comes up. Everything that Epstein was doing, whether it was in the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s, Trump's name always comes up. Never been implicated exactly, but dude, what are you doing hanging out with Epstein all the time?
Seen files to me. We released a bunch of files. Were released. Everyone wants to say Donald Trump. Listen, Donald Trump has nothing to do with Epstein. We just need to move past it. Let's move on.
Donald Trump has nothing to do with Epstein. Let's just move on.
Let's move on from that silliness.
I think it's a disgrace the way that this pedophile protection conference, the House Republicans, have been trying to shield Donald Trump from accountability. What those emails clearly demonstrated is that Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell knew that Donald Trump had obviously been engaging with the underage girls. And it is such a tragedy to see our nation's leaders try to block accountability. Those women, those girls, but now women, deserve justice.
But I want transparency in the Epstein files, and I've said that from day one, from the very beginning, that I am for that transparency, and I'm going to vote, continue to vote for transparency. I voted for the release of the files through the government reform or government affairs committee, and I'm going to continue.
Colorado Republican.
To be for transparency there.
I mean, that's the act of a guilty conscience. If President Trump was not involved with Jeffrey Epstein.
Ain't no Republican from Missouri or, North Dakota voting for this. It would be a Colorado Republican or a California Republican.
If he was not personally involved, and if these emails and what's indicated inside them, if he's confident that they were false, I don't think that he would be calling Republican members of Congress to try to block their release. And so I think that it's quite damning.
Congress has been doing our job. I sit on oversight, so we're actually running some of the investigations. It's bipartisan. We've been promised names of the alleged perpetrators and criminals that were engaged in the trafficking from the victims. But also it's important to note that at the same time, there is also a class action lawsuit against Deutsche Bank from the victims. And so we have not been able to obtain that list of names yet.
That is the next thing now. Now they're going to, I believe Donald Trump has opened an investigation into the Democrats involved in this. So now they're going to say, hey, we can't get this information. We can't get that information because there's an investigation going on. There's no investigation going on anymore. Just release it. Stop it with this.
But I think I'm just as curious as everyone else is. I've been on this train since the beginning and pushing for this, even when it wasn't politically popular. But also at the same time, I do think that it's wrong for people to use this to smear the president. We know that, unfortunately, God rest her soul, that Virginia got...
Wait a minute. I remember you were telling, was it Cuomo? I don't know, somebody, that you got some alien stuff coming. Where's this alien stuff at? Don't disparage the president. He's all over the files. You believe in aliens, and you haven't even seen an alien. But you could see Donald Trump in these files, and you don't believe that he has something to do with it. I don't know if she's like genuine in that, or if it's just a show for Donald Trump. And then when he goes away, all of a sudden she'll be, oh, I knew the whole time. Time will tell.
Jeffrey was actually the one that said that President Trump is not involved, and so the attempt to, I think, implicate the president and all this is just not okay.
Read the email. There is an email from 2011 from Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell in which he says that Donald Trump is one of the only ones that has embarked and spent hours with one of the victims and even mentions the police. So I don't know how you can read that email and not understand that to mean that Donald Trump knew what Jeffrey Epstein was up to, knew that he was engaged with underage girls and involved in sex trafficking, and is also potentially implicated in covering up and maybe even involved in the crimes themselves. So that's not cherry picking. That's just called reading.
This administration has done more with respect to transparency when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein than any administration ever. In fact, this administration, the Department of Justice, has turned over tens of thousands of documents to the American people. We are cooperating and showing support for the House Oversight Committee. That's part of the reason you are seeing these documents that were released today, because of the House Oversight Committee's and Republicans' efforts to get these out to the public. This administration also moved, the Department of Justice also moved to unseal grand jury testimony, which we know, unfortunately, a judge declined those requests. So this administration has done more than any. And it just shows how this is truly a manufactured hoax by the Democrat Party for now.
What's a hoax? Which part of it is a hoax?
Oh, they're talking about it all of a sudden because President Trump is in the Oval Office. But when Joe Biden was sitting in there, the Democrats never brought this up. This wasn't an issue that they cared about because they actually don't care about the victims in these cases. They care about trying to score political points against President Trump.
Stuff is just wild. How is it that every Republican is like, no, leave Donald Trump alone. He's not involved. Every Democrat is like, well, I mean, the emails look pretty bad. I think we should just take a closer look. that this division is just insane, and I don't even know if it's a real division. It's just Donald Trump. It's not Republican, Democrat. It's Donald Trump and everybody else, and these Republicans just continue to hold water for Donald Trump, and I don't know how much longer this is gonna work. Thanks for listening to the video, guys.